Hello, my name's Julie Williams. I'm a registered migration agent with Migration Downunder, and I'm going to be talking to you about the Subclass 190 visa, which is the state-nominated visa. The state-nominated visa is nominated through the different states and territories of Australia, and it's a points-based application similar to the Subclass 189. But it's not as independent, whereas you rely on a state to nominate you. Unless you've got family members living in a regional area, you can also have family-sponsored 190 visa. But the majority of people do apply for the 190 state-nominated and territory. Now, each financial year, which in Australia is from 1 July through to 30th of June, each state and territory get their allocation of numbers by the federal government about how many places they've got to utilise for the next 12 months to be able to nominate the specific skill set that is missing and required in their particular areas, whether that's metropolitan or regional. The 190 is across all the state and territory. And the numbers have reduced over the last few years. And for the 24-25 financial year, there have been probably a similar number for New South Wales and Victoria, which I think off the top of my head is around 3,000 places each. Whereas the Tasmanian state has had an increase in numbers. So the big thing about the 190 visa, you've got to have a genuine intent to work and remain living in that particular state and territory that you're wishing to not be nominated under. Generally speaking, you can't actually be nominated by another state and territory if you're not living in that state and territory, if you're here in Australia. Whereas being overseas, there is a little bit more flexibility, although there's certain states do have requirements that if you previously lived in Australia, then you have to have been overseas for a minimum 6 months before that state or territory will consider sponsoring or nominating you if you didn't previously reside in that particular state. So things that can show genuine intent, maybe you've lived here, maybe you've studied here, and you have been living and working in South Australia or Tasmania, then if you're applying under those states, then you'll have a good option and a good chance. New South Wales is our biggest state, or New South Wales and probably Victoria. And so New South Wales and Victoria, there is huge competition, and you can't rely on getting an invitation for those state and territories because they have a reduced number and they also target a specific sector dependent on their needs of their state. And New South Wales, for example, hasn't actually released their new sort of 24-25 program, so we're unsure of the target sectors. Previously it was health, education, construction, very similar to the federal government's agenda as far as priority processing and priority skills. And the other states and territories have started opening. But again, most of the states and territories, if you're here in Australia, actually require you to be living there and working in that particular state and territory. You need to be able to make certain that you can find a job as well. It's not a requirement, but sometimes it is for each state and territory. And if you visit our website, we've got a lot more detail as to what that criteria is for each state and territory. Some require you to have worked there or lived there for a minimum 6 months. Some require you to have a job offer. Some require you to be already employed, because it's all about employability and your genuineness as far as working in that skilled occupation. Again, it's points-based. The higher the points you gain, the more competitive edge you will have. And with the states and nominated, the 190 is the same as the 189. You do have to lodge an expression of interest, and there is no cost to that, and there's a minimum requirement of having 65 points, which you get through your English language ability, your age, your qualification, your work experience, etc., whether you studied in Australia. But again, 65 points is not necessarily going to get you an invitation. The higher the points will guarantee you, or not necessarily guarantee you, will put you in a better position to be able to secure that. Some states require an additional step of registration of interest, such as Victoria, for example, and each state and territory will manually go through the expression of interest for those that requested nomination from that particular state and territory. So you do need to nominate which state at the time you're applying. You shouldn't be nominating more than one because you won't be considered, because then it doesn't show to them that you're genuine to want to live and work in that particular state. So just be mindful of that. And again, it's really competitive. When I said there were 3,000 places in New South Wales and Victoria each, that's actually split with the 491 regional as well. So there's slightly less numbers for the 190. So a lot of competition. All I can say is get in early, get your skills assessment done, and lodge that expression of interest, and make sure you have all your documents ready so that when they do invite you, you've got everything there, because you must have everything at the time of invitation. But if you'd like to know more, you can book in a consultation with one of our very experienced registered migration agents by going onto our website and following the links.